Well, Redacted can confirm that the United States has special forces soldiers in Haiti, as the U.S. has been pushing for an invasion of Haiti and may get its wish very, very soon. The United Nations Security Council will vote this afternoon on a resolution authorizing a multinational force into Haiti. Redacted correspondent Dan Cohen is in Washington with the very latest on this. Dan, what can we learn from this UN resolution today?
Yeah, Clayton. So the U.S. has been seeking a military invasion of Haiti since July 2021, when the president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, was assassinated in a still unsolved mystery. And now the Security Council is going to vote on Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and it is likely to pass this resolution authorizing the deployment of foreign forces into Haiti. Based on my sources in the council, the U.S. has spent considerable diplomatic capital to get many countries on board with this, most notably with Kenya contributing 1,000 police officers. It also has gotten commitments from Spain, Jamaica, the Bahamas, Mongolia, Senegal, Guatemala, Peru, Italy, Antigua, Barbuda, Suriname, and the Bahamas. So it's like a coalition of the willing, which with, of course, the U.S. playing the main role, but trying to have these other countries out front in order to give it sort of an international legitimacy. I've obtained a copy of the UN Security Council resolution, the UN resolution, and it calls for a 12-month deployment, and it says that at 9 months that may be adapted or changed. Very notable, it says nothing about a mission goal or exit strategy. It says that the mission should develop and a strategy for conclusion and withdrawal. So there's not one there yet, and this is going to vote. So we're looking at a deployment of international forces under the auspices of the UN, which occupied Haiti from 2004 to 2017. But I can confirm that the U.S. already has deployed special forces to Haiti. I spoke to former Air Force Special Operations Command Airman Jean-Pierre Alfred. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I have a couple of friends that are within Army Special Operations Command that are currently deployed in Haiti as we speak, and they have been there for the last 30 to 45 days cycling in and out. Their specific role is train, advise, and assist. And what that encompasses is training the host nation forces, making sure that they're providing a level of security for the key personnel within the Haitian government and also the American government. And then should the need arise, potentially to operate within a kinetic capacity, which means to integrate within your police forces, your military forces, and conduct raids and operations to take down some of these political factions and opposition gang members that Haiti has described as problematic.
So he's talking about U.S. Army 7th Special Forces Group, which is normally deployed throughout Latin America. It's part of Southcom. And these special forces, also known as Green Berets, will be training not only the Haitian National Police in general, but they will also be training a specialized force, an elite unit.
Within the train, advise, and assist portion of this, the United States military, specifically the Green Beret team, they'll be training a base level force that'll provide the stability for the regions that are currently under political strife. The other aspect of this is they'll train an actual SWAT team or a SWAT team-like component that'll be responsible for executing the raids and the warrants and the specific roundup missions where the goal is to gather this person or persons and bring them back for interrogation. And if they cannot interrogate that person or if they cannot round that person up peacefully, then typically the kinetic operation turns violent and they actually end up killing the person.
But these Green Berets won't just be training and advising. They can also be directly involved in combat operations on the ground in Haiti.
The chances of them just sitting around and assisting in terms of just guiding and directing, that literally never happens. They actually get down on the ground and they operate within that team. And you have to understand why. The reason for that is this is not as though it's some type of acting class or it's some kind of rehearsal. There's actually bullets flying in and out of an area. And once that bullet leaves the barrel of that weapon, there's no taking it back. So if you're on the ground as a Green Beret, you're not going to risk staying in the car and possibly getting shot. You're actually getting down on the ground and you're guiding how the outcome of that mission is most likely going to be.
Jean-Pierre Alfred also told me that there's quite a large number of these special forces on the ground and their command element, which is very significant.
To send an entire command element into Haiti would mean that you send the entire team of possibly anywhere from 12 to 55 men on the ground. And that also is going to include psychological operations, which are responsible for the media apparatus and making sure that the messaging is done properly. It's going to also involve the entire intelligence component, which is they're soaking up all of the phone calls, they're providing surveillance. You have ISR, which is the actual UAVs and drones that would fly overhead also. And then you have aerial components, which are your actual potential naval fighter jets that they can call from any naval carrier group that would be within the Caribbean that could get to Haiti within the first 12 minutes. When you take a look at that and that entire force posture, for them to have sent an entire command element into Haiti is almost the equivalent of using a sledgehammer to kill a mosquito. They are not looking to potentially guess. They want a specific outcome, and they want zero margin for error.
Now, regarding this UN Security Council vote, he says that it's window dressing for U.S. plans that are going to go down either way.
It doesn't matter if it passes or doesn't pass. The United States has a goal in mind, and it's going to execute that goal irrespective of the resolution. The resolution is only to give political expedience and political cover overall to say that the international community voted for this, but the United States has already had forces on the ground for the last 30 to 45 days plus. So the resolution that's being put forward, whether it passes or fails, it doesn't matter.
Now, one of the most important questions, who this military invasion might target, well, Alfred says this would be Jimmy Cherizier, who I've covered extensively here on Redacted and in my documentary, Another Vision. He is the primary target.
There's a variety of so-called gang leaders. We take the most popular one that we've heard, which is Jimmy Cherizier. He tends to be the figurehead that everyone knows. He's the one that the media has portrayed the most. So a gentleman like that, when you look at his profile, his pattern of life movements essentially, when you look at his profile, you ask yourself, is this somebody that politically I can coerce and maneuver and steer in the way that I want? Because at the end of the day, the Green Beret team that's on the ground, their goal is not just to pull a trigger. Their goal is to actually take in, soak up, and absorb the host nationals and say, can I use you to my political advantage instead? Because to kill Jimmy Cherizier would mean that you cut the head off, and now the body doesn't necessarily wither. Now it's you have a group of individuals now that have no leader, and they're subjected to the political whims or potentially the financial whims of anybody who is willing to pay them. So Jimmy Cherizier in this case would be somebody that you definitely want to not kill if you can coerce him. However, if you can't, in this case, the Green Beret team would, or the host national forces or the Haitian National Police would make an example of him. And an example of him in this case would be to either jail him or unfortunately kill him.
So I was recently in Haiti, and one of the developments that we saw was Cherizier had signed a peace accord with criminal gangs that he had long fought, which brought many benefits to the neighborhood. Now, the question he's in, basically he's in a precarious position where he feels that he might actually have to ally with these criminal elements in order to have any chance of fending off, of resisting this foreign invasion. So essentially, he'd be making a deal with the devil, with criminal gangs, in order to fight off a bigger devil, this foreign invasion. But the problem with that, I think, is that one, he risks fulfilling U.S. government propaganda, which has been calling him a criminal, falsely smearing him as a criminal for years through a very extensive demonization campaign that I've thoroughly debunked in the documentary Another Vision. And we've also looked at a lot here with my reporting on Redacted. Secondly, he also risks alienating himself from the masses, losing popular support, and the people hate the criminal gangs who kidnap and extort them and murder. So if he loses popular support, that severely weakens him, and an invading force could come into his neighborhood much easier rather than having, crowds of people where he could sort of disappear into. And then third, those criminal gangs, those groups that he might ally with, are tied to the oligarchy. They are largely funded by the government and the oligarchy, the very same government and oligarchy that's bringing this foreign invasion in. They are mercenaries who might stab him in the back. Here is what Jean-Pierre Alfred had to say about that.
The aspect of it that's positive is that Mr. Cherizé now has a kinetic force, or a violent force, that if he needs to repel a potential attack from the government, he could potentially do that. The negative aspect of this is that the very same people that he might be aligning himself with might also be the very same people that'll kill him. Because typically how this has gone, and how it currently functions in essence now, is the elite class of Haiti are paying many of these people to essentially act as mercenaries and act as a political instability point. And if Mr. Cherizé thinks for one single second that these very same people are aligned with him and that they have his interest in the short and long term, he would be making a deadly mistake for himself, because they will kill him.
So, Dan, I find it interesting that he basically says this UN resolution is just cover. It's a cover story for what the United States wants to accomplish. I mean, bringing in the troops, the forces from Antigua and Barbuda and other Caribbean nations, not exactly a massive coalition, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like getting, I don't know, what were like the tiny islands that Bush got in, the invasion of Iraq, and said like, oh, we have this massive coalition of the willing, all of these forces who are willing to, these countries who are willing to contribute these forces to take down this dictator. It has kind of a similar feel here, where it's really just a U.S. force. The U.S. has tried to get Canada to lead it. It tried to get Brazil. It's tried to get a number of countries, and finally it got Kenya, which has a notoriously terrible human rights record, including running death squads, actual death squads. That's according to the UN Special Rapporteur on Human Rights. So, I mean, this is setting up, I think, to be a real disaster for Haiti. And there's no exit, there's no timetable, there's no clear strategy in this resolution. So, I mean, if this goes through, I think it's going to be really bad news.
And I'll get you out of here on this, Dan, which is Jimmy Cherizier. You speak to him, regularly, of course, in your coverage and in interviews with him while you're in Haiti and from the United States. Have you spoken to him about these moves towards the what appears to be an assassination attempt, moving towards his life?
Yeah, I mean, he has pledged to resist. He's the only so-called gang leader that says he would resist against this foreign invasion, and that Haitians would do so in general. But like I said, I think he's in a very precarious position. He doesn't have a good way to go here with this foreign invasion, because he's basically able to protect his small neighborhood from criminal gangs and expel them. But now with this foreign invasion coming, he feels like, well, I don't have a choice. I have to ally with these guys in order to fight off this foreign force. But by doing that, he puts himself in a very precarious position. So I don't know exactly what the right answer is for him. I don't think those criminal gangs are trustworthy. But a lot remains to be seen. Anything can happen, and Haiti does have a very strong revolutionary history and has made history before. So we're going to wait and see what happens.
I guess it's a precarious position, making the decision do I partner up with the United States, largely in many ways a criminal organization, or do I ally with criminal gangs? And maybe he's choosing the lesser of two evils right now to fend off this invasion and maybe stick to his survival. I don't know. It's a really delicate situation. So we'll keep our eye on what the United Nations does, what this coalition of the willing looks like, and the U.S. Special Forces who are already in Haiti. and leading this sort of forward planning, I guess, in Haiti. Dan Cohen in Washington for us. Thank you for this breaking news. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.